Yeah, this all some destiny who is in search of truth, meaning of life. This question was asked from me actually in Berwick when I was in that temple. What is the meaning of life and what is the purpose of life? It's a very good question, all these children. So I had a short answer. It's not my answer actually. It is an answer given by another monk. But when I heard that long time back, I felt it was quite short and correct. What is the meaning of life? There's no meaning is the meaning of life. And what is the purpose of life? Is to realize, to practice, to realize there's no meaning. You can know it in words, but to make it an experience. So, according to Buddha's teaching, Buddha explains a lot about consciousness. Its main, he knows very well. Even the old and Indian tradition, they had knowledge about that consciousness is something separate from the body. But still, in the modern sciences and ways of thinking, it's trying to see consciousness as part of the function of the brain, as a material thing. But in the Eastern philosophies, it was well known, even in the past, that consciousness is something separate. And the Buddha, very interestingly, he even pinpoints the factors of consciousness. Like electrons, neutrons in the material form, but what is really necessary, what really happens in consciousness, in a moment of consciousness, he nicely defines, he clearly says. So, for example, like we have, he says like the body, the form is just the body we have, and then we have with the body, and we have an external object. This is also taken as a material thing. Based on these two, depending on these two, there is this corresponding consciousness that arises. If the ear and the object sounds is the ear consciousness. The nose and with the smell is nose consciousness. With the tongue and taste is a taste consciousness. So if in slow motion, if you try to get some idea, it's like, say you have ear and then the sound vibration. And there's suddenly something says something happen. That is consciousness, initial consciousness. And suddenly when you're conscious, there's something we call you feel. It is in the consciousness, a factor, a part of consciousness. You feel and you perceive. What you feel, you perceive. You judge. Perceiving is like you're judging as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. When you judge as pleasant, there's something that you react with greed or attachment. If you perceive as unpleasant, you react with aversion. So if you react then if you have a neutral feeling, if you are not enlightened or awakened about the consciousness, then if you're just staying also according to Buddha, then we are reacting. It's also kind of reaction, but without awareness, without wisdom. That kind of reaction is called, for neutral feeling, it is with delusion. So these are the three, this thing, and you can know normally when you're unconscious, we can take as conscious as when you're unconscious, you become conscious. And soon as you become conscious, say someone hit you, and you become conscious after, slowly you become conscious, you may see from your eyes, but how do you know the person is conscious? Then when he feels and he perceives, of course he'll perceive as the same person, and what he'll have fear. He will try to, not to, like he will try, you get a shock, or he will try to sort of run away. So that is again at a mental level, you'll have it. If you verbally say something, that is called verbal action, action. Then if you do it physically, you do something, get up and go away, that is called physical. Verbal is, if you express it through words, it will be speech. And if you, so these are the three ways of reacting. Normally in the Buddha's teaching is donated as karma. It is taken as karma. I don't know how far you all will be familiar with karma. So this is what we are making present karma. And supposed to, our life supposed to have been made from previous such kind of reaction. And corresponding to that, we are getting this body and so on. That's how it is. So only the closest thing I see as a scientific or something you can, get an idea whether this law is really true or not. It's like Edgar Cayce, Many Mansions. I don't know, have you gone through that? That will be, that's a very interesting, he was called the Miracle Man of Virginia. What is this? Virginia, it was called Miami, no? Miracle Man, we don't know about Miracle Man of Virginia, I think, or Miami in America. So he used to go into unconscious state and he used to diagnose people's, ailments and sort of sicknesses and all that, which are not cured or been chronic. And he goes back to previous lives. For example, he goes to like Crusaders' time of Jesus, like this. And then even to urge to serve this life, it was an impression or imprint that had been created in during Jesus, we have seen far away, and that has been working in his consciousness. And then in this life, he's doing this service and all that. And so like this, I don't know why I started off with this philosophical topic immediately. Because maybe I suddenly saw, maybe I don't know, but this is touching where the Buddha mainly talks about consciousness and all that. But to realize these things, now we have young ones too, it's not easy. This can be known theoretically how it works, but to make it an experiential thing, Buddha calls you sharpen your mind, you polish your mind. So he says, he gives an example where we can see clearly. Like for example, we have a bowl of water, okay, and then like there is water. Say you put some dye or some kind of coloring into the water. You can't see your reflection. You can't clearly see your face, or like a mirror, you can't use the bowl like that because it is full of this, murk or color or, paint or. So same way Buddha says sensuality, sensual pleasures with the senses. This blurs our ability to see things as they are. So now what I relate with our brain is actually this reptilian brain. Whatever that, when we are reptilian brain is working more, then it covers our frontal cortex, where we can properly judge, analyze, and so on. So this Buddha, this is why he has laid down a path of discipline, where to clear this instrument, our own brain, own mind, to sharpen it, so that these things become part of us. Because he explains these things as, cause of suffering. I will explain in short this. Now, for example, we have, do you understand my English? It doesn't sound Australian, right? Okay, right. This English is after a long time of speaking. I was in Southern Africa, like in Lesotho. I don't know whether any of you all know. So that's where my spiritual journey started as a young boy. So there's a point like these young children, I lost all knowledge of Sri Lankan language, Sinhalese. And as a monk and later on, as I ordained and lived in Sri Lanka, my English also, now only I'm practicing again. So I hope you must, have some patience if it is, I hope it's clear, okay? It's clear, I guess. And I'm not sort of preaching a lot like this. I'm a monk, we are in the forest, not talking too much. So I'm now trying to encourage all of them to practice, actually. That is, this is a time for them to taste the Dhamma. So I will slowly explain one thing. For example, you experience a sense experience, okay? Say you have an ice cream or something, you eat it, okay, it's nice, very nice. And after you eat this, normally all our happinesses are depending on this way. We experience something through the senses and we look for something that is pleasurable. But the problem is, it finishes and then you go to another and another and another. You have to continue giving those impressions or those experiences, those feelings. You have to keep on experiencing it to continue. So normally when we have experienced something through the senses and it's delightful, at that moment, okay, it's exciting. But after that, we have boredom, we have some kind of unsatisfactoriness. So we go and experience that again. But so normally we see in human beings in the modern time, there is a kind of a sadness for no reason and unsatisfactoriness for no reason. Now, when you control, you discipline, you remove your addictions and so on, slowly, one by one. It needs faith and knowledge and, some, good encouragement to do that. When you do like that, what happens? Initially, it's a little bit difficult to keep away. My teacher used to tell me those things, abstain and endure. That's how he used to tell, this is the path, abstain and endure. So what happens? After that, because the mind also now, when you experience a pleasure, it increases your craving nature within you. And when it increases, Buddha tells that the craving is the cause of suffering. So it's like a universal law. When craving increases in your system, proportion to that you suffer. Suffer is like this, you're not satisfied or you can't be just still, just being okay. So now when you experience something, that craving increases within you. So even you're not satisfied, even if you get the same thing, you need more and more and more. We know about dopamine, we need to pump dopamine more. That's how we are going. It's very nice, the science, how it has found those things. Those are good things. It explains well. Say now we give up. We don't experience the sense experiences. There is little difficult. But then we have what? A happiness for no reason. A happiness without a reason. You're just okay. So, some that is, and also due to certain, then the mind gets purified. It's get an opportunity to detox. So now the detoxing process, this is the kind of happiness the Buddha, tries to give us. But he goes to the ultimate of giving up, from going to a point where even bringing out the self-realization to a completion. How the self is formed and how the self, will be. I will go through some things, okay, as we are. So that time, both are like, sorry? Okay. And the other one is 2 hours, is it? Nearly 2 hours. I think.
Actually 7:01.
Huh?
The right time is 7.
Okay, 7.
Yeah.
Where is the right time? You have to minus 1 hour.
Minus 1 hour. Sorry.
Okay. So, even all this is fast going good.
So it's the red clock minus 1 hour.
Okay, very good. Very
17.
Good. So I think this temple is ahead of 1 hour ahead. Try to.
Abstract concept. I made it up.
Really?
Yeah, well, it's not really real.
Yes, but this will push us at least. So I like to ask you all, you ask me something, I'll talk about it. I'm bored of talking my things. Yes.
When doing loving kindness meditation, and all of the children here are, when doing loving kindness meditation, and I know that all of the people here have been taught loving kindness meditation.
Okay.
I was taught to develop like a physical limiter of the feeling of kindness in the body, and that when the physical limiter got strong enough, that it would transition into the light limiter. Could you speak about developing that feeling of loving and kindness in your body and in your mind so that you can get more and more skillful at it?
Getting at a body level is when it gets saturated only it will come to the body. It should be coming as an automatic process of overflowing. So it creates actually I say like in the sensual things also, it creates more you do it, it opens up certain dimensions and it can become body also. So in the spiritual things also, when you do it in such a strong way, it creates another kind of a invisible body. And so normally loving kindness, more you can practice, more you are desireless. So normally people try to practice to overcome anger, but the real cause of anger is desire. So unless you remove the desires, you will be still having that angry nature. So why? One reason is when you indulge in desires, you lose a lot of energy. And when you lose a lot of energy, that energyless mind, energyless being is irritated by everything. It becomes so minute, so small in person. So that's the reason. So normally, if you want to overcome anger, the main thing is to overcome attachments. When I see them, I'm remembering some of my, in Southern Africa, we have some Australians. They're so nice people. I was so addicted to cricket actually. If I ever gave up for this monk, to become a monk, it was giving up cricket. So anyway, next life I play again. So anyway, but how to overcome desire? It is to overcome desire. It is actually why we are desire of something when we are not fully aware or realize, or we are not enlightened about the thing that we are desiring. If we know its true nature, we will not desire. It's like we can know, that's why we can know whether we have seen the truth of things if we get immediate kind of desirelessness about it. Like for example, we are holding a string and suddenly we look properly, and then when we are looking, we notice it's a snake. There's no question of giving up, letting go. So same effect happens when you are, when you get a true knowledge. So now even about say drinking or anything, if you get to know, okay, you have some benefits, but you know the damage that it creates and it makes an impact in you, then you feel like giving up. Otherwise, you will make some kind of delusionary idea, or this thing to say maybe for my health is good, or it's no problem, I can, like that, you can make we call it wrong views to indulge in that. So unless we know clearly what we are attached to, we can't let go of that. And when we let go, we find that we will have this particular ability to have a lot of compassion. Compassion then, when it's constantly done with sense control. Compassion is also, there's a compassion called without any reason, unconditional. And that is where the spirituality comes more. And when that, and especially when you begin to know also about the people's truth or reality, you will have automatic compassion coming. But compassion with dispassion, not compassion with any kind of passion, is impossible. So, but when you develop it to such an extent, then another body gets formed or another dimensions get connected. Then only that comes, as you were telling, which comes to the physical body level. So your body becomes a compassionate, vibrant, when your body becomes like that. And it's a kind of a spirit energy, that begins to be in the body. Same in the other way. When you have a lot of desires, if you do it to a certain extent, demons come to your body. So that's why then you play boxing or do other things, today with, especially with phones, and today, with the games and all this, it's another world. It doesn't, It doesn't open up higher dimensions, it opens up lower dimensions. So anyway, this compassionate body, let's try to activate it before the program ends. Any other question? Yes? Mike, please. I will tell something to the children also quickly, some points, but let's take some questions. Otherwise, it gets bored for me also.
Can I ask my question?
Yes, please.
I'm actually Catholic,
Yes.
originally, and Asian Buddhism. Over last year, middle of last year.
Please, I'm now getting old. How can you increase this volume?
I beg your pardon, can you hear me? Properly?
Not comfortably.
Not comfortably. Is that a bit better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right, gentlemen. I realized about halfway through last year I must be Buddhist. I'm actually Catholic. I'm still Catholic.
Okay.
And I'm sort of trying to understand what Buddhism is. And my question is, what would be the corresponding statement to the Catholic statement? Christ said, if you want to wrap up all of Catholicism, all of his teachings, into one statement, it was, do unto others as you would have them do to you. And from that, you can kind of get everything else. That's the core of his teaching. Is there something similar in Buddhism that you could say is one statement that basically defines Buddhism, so that I can understand what I belong to properly? Kind of.
Also, I remember Jesus once telling, like, from your soul, or I can't remember like this, like when one of the prostitutes came and, was crying, or she was about to come. Can you hear?
I can actually, but it's a bit of noise, that's all, but I'm fine. I have fun, I can hear.
Okay. So you have to learn. That's how we have to learn slowly. One thing is not to get attached to what you're hearing. Then you get irritated from what is disturbing that. You're not. Okay. So yeah, in Buddha's this thing, or Buddhism, you could say, Buddha has says so many statements, but one, Sabba Papa Sakarana, is to remove all evil, to avoid all evil. Kusala Supasampada, develop the wholesome, skillful states or consciousness. There's a second step. Sachitta Pariyodapanam Etam Buddha Anusasana. Purify the mind. So this is the last step. These are the three, like one of the ways he tells, this is all the Buddhas all explain this. So any practices that doing that, Thero, Buddha is not like he's also like a phenomena in this world. It's not sometime, I always think Buddha was never Buddhist. Can you hear? Yeah. Buddha was never Buddhist. He was a master, he has known, now if you read the original sutras, he talks about, actually Buddhism is, someone told nicely, I think he's quite correct, that Buddhism is phenomenology. Phenomenology, right? So how do you pronounce in Australian?
Phenomenology.
Phenomenology. Okay.
Phenomenology.
Okay, phenomenology, right? Okay, phenomena and phenomenology. Okay. I don't want to get your accent, please. Okay. I hope you will understand. And I don't want to get any accent actually. I'm trying to have, but yeah, it's correct. Because Buddha, even about compassion, he encourages that. And regarding now, for example, to feel like you and me are same, and to all beings are like same, to identify with all beings. This is one of the practices that lead to samadhi. Samadhi, do you know the term samadhi? Okay. It's like called a certain stage of concentration. And so that is something he encourages, but he says this is not the end in his teaching. This is a kind of, it helps, it purifies so much in that state of consciousness. His main aim is to be self-realized. So where the ego fades away, this is his ultimate gift he wants to give. Ego in the sense, not only the gross ego, but even the subtlest sense of I. But the subtlest sense of I, of any kind of individuality, it comes based on feelings. Feeling is a factor of consciousness. Okay? It's very, very interesting. We will be doing something about this, just I think from the original this thing, so it will make some more sense and for the practice. So wherever there is, you feel an I sense, I-ness coming in your mind, there you have feeling, you're in feelings. And so how to, free yourself from feelings, he tells a way of getting wisdom, a contemplation. It's called contemplating from the source. It's actually called Yoniso Manasikara in the Pali, this thing. It is the main thing now. Actually, I have now started giving retreats. So I'm trying to, this is the main thing. I have been now waiting to do this for long years. And now finally I was able, because in a retreat condition, like in a solitary condition, where people get an idea how, as originally as the time of Buddha, to exercise that particular faculty, to awaken that wisdom I. There is a special faculty within the frontal cortex. So this is normally called, it's a specialist. There are divine eyes, but this is the wisdom eye. And the wisdom eye is very much when you are seeing the truth deeply, things as they are, what you're experiencing, and in its entirety. And that is where self-realization comes out. So that way of how to investigate, how to contemplate, this is actually very clear. So normally people are not doing this. I mean, we are normally hearing from teachers. So this is what Buddha's ultimate gift was. So to get that, and when you get that, it gives you also kind of a, if you know you have got that contemplative intuition, I would call it an intuitive experience, where you will get desirelessness in your mind, like a shock when you, so this shock leads to you leave everything that is impermanent. It's seeing the impermanence actually. You leave everything what is impermanent and you're aware with what is not impermanent. What we want to be, eternal. So this is a practice is there. That's his actually main thing he gives to the world. So it starts with stages to overcome all evil, and to cultivate what is wholesome, it is skillful states of consciousness or mind. So that includes also this, to see equal and to have love for all living beings. It includes in that skillful states of cultivation. And in Buddha's teaching, actually, Buddha takes it as still as there's in the realm of consciousness. You're still conscious, but it's a vast consciousness. So that's where he tries to make that to even any kind of idea of self in any form, that because it's related with some kind of feeling, especially equanimity. That peaceful feeling is blissful, or peaceful is related with equanimous feeling. And wherever there is feeling, you get an I sense, but it's a universal I. It's a big I. It's purified, but still it's an I coming connected with that feeling. So there Buddha actually sees also the kind of the no self in that also. That's where he called the purifying. The next step, third step, Sachitta Pariyodapana, means purifying. So there's a meditation that where wisdom is a practice, where you see the reality of that experience, and that brings you to is what he wants to give. We call it Nirvana and all that. Yeah, my answers are quite long. Lot of Okay. Anyone else? And I will give some points, for younger people. And anyone else want to ask something? Okay. Yes, all right. So, some things you understood about, the happiness without a reason and the sadness without a reason. How you get that? So that is very important to, change our direction slowly, where we are getting a happiness for no reason. So now today we must have good habits actually. We must have a good lifetime. Like I was telling, like the meaning of life is to know that there's no meaning. Because in Buddha's teaching, consciousness is, if you are conscious only, we experience the world, right? So if you are not conscious, there's no world for us. So when we are conscious only, that is our life is mainly. So consciousness is taken as an illusion. It is like, for example, okay, I tell you, like we look into a well and a dog looks into a well and sees another dog inside. Okay, the reflection. And it comes out and it thinks there's another dog inside. But really, there's no dog. Okay, the same way, every moment of our consciousness, now I'm seeing okay, soon as I look here, that experience is gone and another experience comes. Okay, so when we begin to notice how each moment of being conscious of something, feeling something, has changed in such a short time. So a changing thing, when you know that now what we're experiencing is bound to change. That's the wisdom we get, so then we don't get attached. For example, we have food or something we eat, and it touches to our tongue. While it is touching the tongue, we are getting that experience. And then when that piece of whatever food we put in, it finishes, then that whatever experience through that, we conditioned by that this food and tongue, that goes away. So just observing that, noticing like that, you are seeing that consciousness is actually just momentarily arising with the conditions, like a music sound, the waves come, they strike your ear, and then you have the ear consciousness like that. And without consciousness or any experience in the empty space, you don't get the idea of I. So I is actually, in Buddha's teaching, he clearly shows, this is the reality actually, it does not exist. It's with attachment, and when we get attached to something, you sort of kind to solidify it or make it something look like a person. Now I know in Sri Lanka, I have our taxi driver, a young boy. So sometimes I got to know that he talks with the taxi. He has so much identified with the taxi that, and he drives well. And he says, no, my child will go very well. There won't be any this thing. So I didn't try to tell him anything, but I can understand. When you get too attached to something, you feel there's person. Now relations, for example, who we love, their hair, their body, their shape of the body, like your parents or someone who you love, or your wife, your husband, you so much identify that person is that body because of attachment. So it also reflects from you if you think you are there, like this body is you, then you begin to see that others also. This topic, if we continue, it will be boring.